A statistic exists that almost no one talks about. More Australian Special Forces soldiers died in training than died in actual combat operations. Across 60 years of operations, more training deaths than combat deaths. Think about what that actually means. That's not a failure, that's a selection system. In July 1957, Australia established its first Special Air Service Unit. They modeled it after the British SAS, but they modified the model. They made it harder. They made it deadlier. The first soldiers to volunteer didn't understand what they were walking into. Selection would kill more of them than enemy bullets ever would. Picture this. A 19-year-old Australian paratrooper arrives at a training base in Perth. He's fit, he's trained, he's confident. He's about to learn that physical fitness means nothing in selection for SASR. In the next 6 weeks, he'll face situations designed to make him quit, designed to make him understand that staying alive requires a completely different kind of mental framework. Why would a military unit design training more lethal than combat? Because the Vietnam War proved something that nobody expected. And here's what makes this relevant today. From 1964 to 1972, SASR conducted nearly 1,200 patrols in Vietnam. Not raids, not assaults, patrols. Small teams moving through enemy territory for weeks. In that 6-year period, they inflicted 492 confirmed enemy kills. SASR casualties during the same period? 1 killed in action, 1 died of wounds, 3 accidentally killed, 28 wounded total. So how does a unit achieve a kill ratio like that? How does a force conduct 1,200 patrols in hostile territory and lose only 1 operator to enemy action? The answer is in the selection process that almost kills more soldiers than it graduates. SASR leadership understood something that most militaries miss. The ability to survive in combat comes from the ability to survive selection. If your mind breaks during training, it will break in combat. If your body quits during selection, it will quit when you need it most. So they designed selection to break both the body and the mind. That's not military cruelty, that's military evolution. The selection process starts with psychological testing, computer assessments of mental resilience, pattern recognition, decision-making under stress. Soldiers who pass that advance to physical testing, a 100-kilometer march with a 20-kilogram rucksack, running 7 kilometers in 52 minutes, standards that look simple until you understand the sleep deprivation component. Candidates are sleep-deprived while executing these tests, not by accident, by design. Only 10 to 15% pass. Out of every 100 candidates, 85 quit or are eliminated. But the physical tests aren't what kills soldiers. The navigation phase is. Candidates navigate at night with minimal equipment. They navigate alone, for days, without communication with base. No confirmation of whether they're on the right path. The psychological weight of uncertainty combined with physical exhaustion breaks most people. Imagine this. You've been awake for 36 hours. Your rucksack weighs what a small child weighs. You're moving through darkness with a map and compass. You're not sure if you're lost. You don't have radio contact. The next 48 hours will determine if you continue or if you go home. Most soldiers go home. After navigation comes the endurance phase. Candidates are subjected to survival training, resistance to stress situations, operational scenarios designed to produce maximum physical and mental pressure. They're given minimal food, minimal water, forced to make decisions while dehydrated and malnourished. The goal is to push them past what they think is physically possible. Here's what's important. This training was designed after Vietnam. SASR leadership reviewed 6 years of operational data. They asked, what made those patrol teams successful? What mental framework allowed 6 soldiers to move through enemy territory undetected for weeks? What psychological profile distinguished the soldiers who came home from those who didn't? The answer was resilience under sustained pressure. The ability to think clearly when everything in your body screams at you to quit. So they built a selection process that would identify and develop that capability. And in doing that, they created a selection system that has killed more soldiers in training than in actual combat. Since 1957, SASR has recorded more training fatalities than combat fatalities. Not because the training is reckless, because the standards are non-negotiable, because the unit refuses to graduate soldiers who haven't proven they can survive the unsurvivable. Every year, soldiers collapse during selection. Some recover, some don't, some die. That's not a bug in the system. That's the entire point of the system. The soldiers who graduate from SASR selection have survived something most Special Forces units never ask their candidates to survive. They've faced death multiple times. They've made the decision to quit, then reversed it. They've moved past what they thought was their physical limit, and they've done it while sleep-deprived, undernourished, and mentally broken. When those soldiers arrived in Vietnam, they already knew more about suffering than their enemies did. 1,200 patrols, 492 confirmed kills, 1 killed in action. That ratio exists because SASR selection is designed not to create heroes, but to create survivors. To create soldiers who can think clearly when everything is going wrong, who can make decisions when they're hungry, tired, and terrified. Picture a soldier in the Vuja River Valley in 1966. 3 weeks in position, he's hungry, he's thirsty. He's watched enemy patrols move past his position twice without detecting him. His selection training taught him that this is normal, that this is survivable, that his job is to observe and report, not to engage and extract. That's the SASR mindset. But the story doesn't end in Vietnam. SASR's approach to selection became the model for NATO Special Forces, the understanding that training mortality rates should approach combat attrition rates, that creating elite operators requires pushing candidates past what they believe is possible. And this is where the story gets strategic. In 1983, Australia established a classified intelligence unit called Squadron 4. The existence of Squadron 4 is not publicly acknowledged by the Australian government. Its capabilities are not discussed. Its operations remain classified. What is known is that Squadron 4 conducts operations that most militaries won't admit exist, and recruitment for Squadron 4 comes primarily from SASR, from soldiers who have already proven they can survive selection. So, what does a soldier who survived SASR selection actually become? A soldier who has been tested beyond what any combat deployment will test them. A soldier whose mental framework is already broken and rebuilt. A soldier who understands that elite performance requires suffering. That's why NATO's most elite units respect SASR, not because they're louder, not because they're more famous, because they arrive at operations already proven, already tested, already survivors. Subscribe for more documentaries on elite units that operate quietly, the units that define what Special Forces actually means.